Welcome to the Savvy Spirit Podcast. I'm Sharon Moore, your host and creator of the Savvy Spirit Entrepreneur Program. This podcast features conscious women entrepreneurs whose businesses are built on their unique gifts and are making the world a better place. You're going to learn about their journeys, their courage, their resilience, and their truth. So enjoy the show, feel the love, and get inspired. Welcome, everybody. Today, we are going to be spending time with Arin Fishkin. Arin is a graphic designer that's been doing graphic design for, only 17 years and has an impressive resume, including almost every single brand that I love in this city. For example, Buy Right Market. Let's just start with that. She works with businesses, nonprofits, social justice organizations, schools, retail, tech, you name it. As long as you are causing good in this world, she is your branding and visual strategy expert. So Arin, the graphic designer for good, welcome to the show.
Hi there.
So I love this thing that you do. I noticed it on your website and on your Instagram that you work with organizations that are causing good. How did you land on this? How did this happen?
Well, I started out as an idealist, I guess, and I'm still there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I would have to do this work, working for corporations or entities that I didn't feel good about. And I started long enough ago, as you mentioned, that the economy could support me following my ideals. I could still pay rent. And because that's the work I was pursuing, and it was, bumpy in the beginning, it's the work I continued to get. And here I am. I've turned away a little bit of work, but, mostly the people see the work that I have done, and those are the kind of people that want to continue to work with me. So now it's a bit of a the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
That's my priority. That's what I want to do. And I'm lucky enough that I've been able to make it work.
I love that. How you say something on your website that I really like, that you build the bridge for people and organizations between their ideas to their ideal customer.
Yeah. So graphic design is, I think of myself and the people who do what I do, if they do a good job, is as translators, especially if we work for mission-driven groups and nonprofit. The people who work in those groups are so passionate about what they do, and they've worked so hard to put everything on the table, and they have a lot to say. And people don't have a lot of bandwidth to listen to all that they need to say. And it's a sad reality, or just the reality, either way, of our oversaturated mental state. The amount of data and messages that are bombarding us all the time. But in our tech savvy world, there's only so much that people are going to be willing to give of their time, of their attention. So there has to be a translator, somebody who can see it from the other side. That is not the person who's so passionate, who has so much to say. I mean, you don't want to be that guy who corners you or even corners somebody in a party and just talks your ear off. You want to be the interesting, well-dressed individual, flitting around, who says a couple of witty things, and then you want to know more. Yeah. And that's my best case scenario is the makeover. It's translating from listen to all the stuff I have to say to, hey, I have this, interesting concept that attracts people and draws them in with less, not with more.
And, when I hear that, I think, well, shoot, that's more than just your graphic designer, because there's a part of you that's digging deep for what is the real message, digging between the layers and layers and layers, and then succinctly and visually being able to deliver that.
Yeah. So I say on my website too, and it's a little hard to explain to folks who come to me thinking what they're looking for is a brochure or a logo or a website that's a visual, like I could be designing a graphic for a t-shirt. But in order to do my job really well, I need to be thinking strategically. I need to know what the goals of the group are, and those are always different. Sometimes they're very similar. Sometimes it's simple as raising money or making money, but it's also growing an audience and getting a particular message out, or getting people to respond or sign up or whatever it is in a certain way. So in order to do my job well, and to also make my job interesting, I have to be thinking about what are we trying to accomplish and think strategically about reaching our goals. And, I use visual tools to do that. But it's the strategy and the problem solving that make it a really exciting, juicy, interesting job.
Oh, yeah. And do you feel like you went into graphic design because of your artistic and creative calling, and then you discovered, wow, I actually have to do a little more of this digging for the real message, or vice versa? Like, how did you fall into this, unique niche here?
So I studied fine art back in the day. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts, but it didn't take me too long out of art school to realize that we hadn't been trained to be successful artists. We're trained to make art, but not to make money, or not to make rent or food. So it took me a while in my early 20s to find the thing that I wanted to do, and eventually, when I found graphic design, it was really just like, how do I take a skill that's near something that I'm interested in, and help me make a living wage. But the other component of that was that it didn't take me too long to realize a big part of being a successful artist is marketing yourself, and you really have to be very confident, if not shameless, in putting yourself out there. And I was miserable about the idea that people could be doing great art quietly or not as great art and being seen and heard. So it didn't take me too long to realize that fine art was not going to be for me, because it was just making me so uncomfortable to do the business side of it. And the graphic design, it was a lot less personal. It wasn't my art, and it certainly took me a while to learn how to be comfortable marketing and selling myself. That was a process.
And
yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's interesting and then you find yourself being a business owner. You went to art school, and here you are as an entrepreneur. Which it's your business is built on your unique gift, right? And I'm kind of sensing that your unique gift is not just the creative, is not just the art. That's of course the lead, and that's how you express, but it's really sifting through and making it in bite-sized pieces for people, visually speaking.
Right. So, the success happens on two levels. It does need to be visually engaging, appropriately visually engaging too, right? Like if it's for a bank, you don't want bunnies, pink bunnies all over it, kind of thing. But yeah, finding the appropriate language to that creates a vehicle to tell the story and to engage people. And I'm sorry, where were we?
Well, we were talking, but you know what? I just had a question that I'm just going to throw out there. So is your life different every day?
My work life, yes. Well, the kind of work that I do it's a pretty varied.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't necessarily, maybe not every day, because I'll have projects will last maybe 3 to 6 months. But in those, 3 to 6 month chunks, stuff is coming in and going out. Wow. But design is a really small part of what keeps me busy. I've become very good at graphic design after doing it for getting close to 2 decades. But learning how to run a business is the thing that continues to challenge me. And that those skills, gaining those skills are what keeps me busy and what makes my days different. Oh, today I'm going to learn about succeeding in the social networking, or
and how
Facebook advertising, other juicy, miserable stuff like that.
Yeah, and guess what? In those 17 years that you were a graphic designer, that has been a huge change.
Yeah, it's always changing, but also, and my skills were limited in those things, like other creative people, and Not like many other creative people. I'm good at the thing that I'm good at, and the business stuff is more of a slog.
Well, coincidentally, that is one of the three, legs of the stool that I focus on in my entrepreneur school. And even for me as a business owner, the straight up business skills. And, for me, the three components are A, building a business around your unique skills. B, connecting to something bigger than you, i.e., how has the universe supported you in doing this work? And then the third leg is the business skills. So I'd love to just talk to you about those three, and let's just start where we are, which is the business skills. How have you navigated it? Have you, broken your back and felt like you had to master everything? Have you been able to delegate it? What's been your relationship to that whole area?
Well, that's a good
skills.
Question. It's a good question because it's really been, I think, a grind of mine for about 10, the most recent 10 years of my career has been figuring out business questions. And my first step was to realize how much I didn't know and how far I was away from running what was at the time, it was being a freelancer, how far away I was from running it as a business, basically making money, getting clients to come back, business systems, like making sure I was getting invoices out and that, and I was getting paid all of the, every sort of, all of those little wrinkles, each and every one of them was a challenge for me at the beginning, even keeping clients, because I was a snarky, just out of art school. Arts, I was a snob, so I wasn't really very even nice to my clients almost 20 years ago.
How'd that work out?
Didn't work out so great.
Yeah,
so
surprise.
Tons to learn, and I've come a really long way, but it didn't take me too long to just sort of hit a wall and realize there's so much I didn't know how to even think about. So it started me on the process of finding people I could work with, hire, not as employees, but, on a sort of a contract basis to help me think about business. And I started off with a coach who I thought was a career coach, but that turned out to be more of a sort of personal coaching, which I wasn't looking for and was surprised to get benefit from. But that was finite. That pushed some of the why do I feel I don't deserve it? And the sort of cliche coaching issues. I got all of that stuff out of the way. And it also helped me find a business coach, somebody who really help me not have to reinvent the wheel, come up with systems to assess the right kind of workload. It was feast or famine for me. It was either, a dozen ongoing projects where I couldn't keep afloat. Everybody was getting the short end of the stick because I was over saturated or
including yourself.
Oh, 100%. I was kind of, falling apart from the stress of being about to drop a ball or being under employed or under scheduled and the anxiety that goes with that. So I had a coach who just helped me assess what's the amount of money I need to be making every week, every month to get to the point where I'm making that right amount every year. And what does that look like in terms of which types of clients and projects and how many of those, so I could really set myself up to have the right amount I was coming in and be planning for the future and thinking about the year holistically.
Yeah, I love a couple things that you said. One is just recognizing what you don't know. That's huge. And then two, getting help. Getting that help, and how fun that it turned into a life coach. Yeah, that's awesome. You got to clear out all those things. Okay, but now I'm ready for a business coach. So I'm going to continue to look for the right person. I think that is so important when you are a solopreneur or, like you said, freelancer turning into a business owner. So important.
Yeah. And now I work with somebody who's a business consultant. It doesn't feel like coaching. It feels like somebody who's helping me create systems for my business, communications, streamlining and processes, and now I have an assistant. My assistant knows what to say and when to say it. And so do I. So it makes sure I know all of the information is getting to my clients when they need it, or before they do, and they feel, they aren't being left hanging, or it's unclear. They know they're being taken care of, which
Yeah.
was one of the small pieces of the many small pieces of the puzzle that was missing, that I didn't understand that people needed. And it's really benefit my quality of life to have my clients more relaxed and feel taken care of and know what's coming. It makes my whole process, even though the outcome is the same. If it was a logo, it's still a beautiful, great logo, but they felt taken care of the whole time and they knew what was happening. I mean, these are things that I didn't know how to think about. I didn't know I needed to think about. So yeah, I'm a huge proponent of not thinking you have to know how to do every bit of the business, because there's so much suffering there trying to figure all that stuff out on your own.
And we need to make it so that you actually have the mind space, the heart space, the energy space to create. That's what this business is built on. Your creative. We can teach people to run our systems, but you can't teach anybody to be your creative spirit.
Right.
So that's a key learning right there too. Okay. And it's funny, I hear you say that and I'm like, yeah, you didn't realize you're also responsible for customer service, which is tough.
I mean, right. I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I did. I thought I was like, be polite, deliver on time. But there was so much, it's like my clients felt, I think, a few years ago, like I feel when I'm walking into the mechanic.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on here. And these, people are speaking a language that I don't know. And I don't know if I'm getting what I'm asking for or what I need, or if I'm being taken advantage of. So now that that's been pointed out to me, now that I have that understanding, I can treat my clients really well. But there's so many ways of looking at how you can make the experience better for them and how that benefits me, myself.
Right, exactly. Now, are you willing to share this? This business consultant sounds amazing. Are you willing to share her name?
Yeah, so it's Sarah Schulweiss. Her business is called Anchor and Orbit, and it's anchoranorbit.com. And I really can't recommend her highly enough.
Wow, she's on she's going to be interviewed by us real soon here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right. We do have people in common. Yeah, she's amazing. I tell, especially, not necessarily women, but I think especially for women, it's just great to have somebody who is empathizes with the experience of being a woman in business and how much. I'll leave that there. I think that's
yeah. Hey, you've sold me. I literally, my wheels are like, I gotta hire this woman.
Yeah. I mean, I'm when you're at the right place, I tell many people that our peers, when you're at the right place in your business for that kind of help, it is just, it moves things forward so quickly and so beautifully.
Amazing. I have heard her name several times now, so I'm taking that as a sign for me as well.
Yeah. Recommend.
So I want to ask you, I want to switch gears into one of the other areas that I talk about, and that is, the support of the universe. And that might be a word that doesn't resonate for all people. So let me just explain what I mean. What I mean is, has there been a time where you just went into something that felt uncomfortable or unknown, but there was a party that just pushed you into it because you knew, you know what, this is right. I am going to be cared for. I'm going to be all right, but I need to move forward and do this.
Yes. I mean, I think the whole thing has been kind of a risk. Working for myself, living in a very expensive city, I think I'm not alone in the faking it, the many years of faking it till I made it, putting myself out there. All of those things have some level of discomfort. And some of it is just bravery and optimism, and some of it is faith. And some of it is, what the fuck do I have to lose?
Right. Seriously. And amen, because frankly, when I just so the listeners know, I'm about to have you do my logo. I saw your stuff and I loved it. And thank God you went and made that step and brought the skill out to the world.
Yeah. Yes, I love what I do. And even though I'm frequently a timid person, when it comes to my business, it's the one place I'm more happy to be confident and put this stuff out there, because I don't even have a because. It just feels
Well, this is that
I
moment.
It feels right. It feels right, and I get so much growth out of my business, um, so much personal satisfaction from making beautiful things. Everything from the show and tell part of being a designer to succeeding and learning and growing. I mean, it's been a nonstop opportunity to learn new things since I started.
Well, and if that isn't universal, I don't know what is. I mean, you basically like, I don't know why. I don't know why I do it. I just know I have to do it. There you go. So speaking of using your services, I know that I've just claimed my truth that I want to use your services, but how do people learn more? Do they write you an email? Do they go on your website? Do you have, what's the best way for
Yeah.
them to learn about your services?
My website, I mean, I hope that my website is a very good tool for people to learn about what I do, just not only see my recent work, which has some context for, who and why, sort of the challenges and the outcome for each of the projects that are on there. There's a services page that tells a little bit about my process, and hopefully all of that stuff is pretty clear. And I love to chat with folks, but yeah, the best way is through the online form on my contact page that starts an email conversation that sets us up for a phone call where I know a little about the business that you're in or starting, so I can be prepared to have dive right in and have a really effective, efficient phone call when we, first get on the line.
Beautiful. And are you currently taking new clients? Do people usually have to wait to get on your,
Ah,
yeah.
I'm always taking new clients.
All right. She's always taking new clients,
I
people.
mean, I'm not always taking new clients today. I would say usually I'm about a month out.
Okay.
Because there's always stuff starting and stuff finishing,
Yeah.
especially this time of year. I'm not taking anything new, but I'm never more than 6 weeks from starting something new. And it
I
takes about 6 weeks for people to, from the first time they contact me to be confident that we're right to work together, to the check is cleared, their content, if it's for a website, the various components that they need together. People are surprised, but it takes a while. It's not like a buy now on Amazon button. There's legwork to be done just to get to the point where we can start.
It's really good you said that because I know I could be one of those people that's like, what do you mean it's not done in 24 hours? So helpful to be reminded that patience is key.
It's a process. I mean, you can always rush something, and that always comes across.
Yeah. Oh, well said. And a personal reminder to me. Okay, so we are getting near the end of our interview, and what I always like to do is open it up for you to be able to share some words of wisdom or words of encouragement for anybody who's listening. And our listeners vary. It can be people who are well into their business and are in a time of transition or changing their product or service, or people who are just now starting to think about, ooh, I've always had this dream and I want to step into it. So, being somebody who's been doing this now for 17 years, what words of wisdom or encouragement would you share for our listeners?
That's such a good question. I'm trying to think back on advice I was given and which was, garbage. I would say what I see a lot is people putting a tremendous amount of thought into what they need to do to get started. And of course that's necessary to plan, but it's frequently a lot more. People put a lot more into the place where they the minimum they need to do to get started is so tremendous that they never do start. They're like, I have to have a website and it has to have all of these components and I have to have Leave Behind and my logo has to represent everything about me and I have to have these forms, whatever it is. It's both true and untrue that you need to have all of your ducks in a row, because once you get your business out there, you're going to have so much new information about what you're offering and how people receive it that you're not going to wind up in the same business you were planning to start a year, 6 months or a year down the road. You're going to be in a slightly or very different business than you thought you were because of the information you get from actually working with people. So don't hesitate to get started with less and see what you learn and get to the point where you can sort of consider at a phase one. So 6 months or a year in, you can assess and then really launch confidently, knowing what people are asking for and the best way to offer it. And if you want to do it, I mean, if you're not going to starve, just do it.
Just do it.
I mean, I don't want to be or oversimplify the financial reality of taking risks, but I'm not a personal believer in having a job that you hate. I know that there's a way around that. If you prioritize the thing that is meaningful, and you've weighed and you see the opportunity to make money in that field, get out of the job that doesn't serve you, or the line of work that doesn't serve you. And I mean, hopefully you're young, and because this is different advice for a 50-year-old than it is for a 20 or 30-year-old. But we have one shot at enjoying our life and making it meaningful, and you don't have to hate your job the whole way through that. That's what I believe.
Amen. You and me both. And I think you just hit in the beginning of your advice, you were talking about a concept that I talk about in our school as well, which is that whole adjustment. We go out there and we think we have business A, and there is huge adjustment that happens all the time. And so what you were basically saying is create space knowing that you're going to have to adjust. I love it.
Don't be too attached, and therefore you don't have to put too much into it, because if you know it's going to change, you're not going to spend $10,000 to hire to have a website made. Whatever it is that you might think is necessary to succeed is just slowing you down from learning about what's the stuff you're actually going to do to succeed.
That was words of wisdom, people. All right, Arin, thank you so much for being here today.
This was
and for
fun.
being on
Thanks
the show.
for the talk.
Yeah, this was perfect. And to all the listeners, it is such a treat for me to bring women like this, women of this caliber with this level of experience, straight into your ears, in your ears with the earbuds, and straight into your heart, and then going into action and ultimately making the world a better place. And I cannot think of a better way for me to use my unique gifts. So with that, I'm signing off. Thank you again so much, Arin, and we'll talk soon, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I hope you feel inspired and connected and alive. And hey, if you enjoyed the show today, leave us a review. And if you want more, you can also find us online at thesavvyspirit.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Okay, my friends, it is time to say goodbye. I wish you a good night, a good morning, a good day, wherever you are on this earth. I wish you well, and I'll see you next week.